Well, we were considering it, but not really 100% sure at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a great question. How come you even considering selling? Like, where you, if you did decide to sell, like, where would you go next?
Well, we were considering upsizing, but just not sure if it's really in the cards right now, and a little unsure of what the cost would be when we make the move.
Hmm. So is like the family getting bigger? Is that kind of why, or just guy got a bigger job, or like what's kind of the reason for the
You
or
got it, growing family.
oh wow, like a newborn?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I bet it's a little cramped and all, um, or it's going to be. Uh, do you have an idea of where you'd like to move closer if you were going to get a bigger house? Uh, are you is your work virtual, or do you have to be like somewhere in the vicinity?
Yeah,
When
we like where we're at geographically. We can kind of expand a little bit, but really it's just more about probably going from 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. Kind of what we're talking about. And yeah, I mean, I can work remotely a little bit, and I do have an office that I go to here and there. So we'd like to stay here. It's just more about the house.
just yeah, just more space, and there's no like ideal time frame or anything like that. Is that right?
I mean, I think we kind of want to do it before the end of next year, like summer 2025, just because we do have another child heading into schools.
Hmm.
So we'd like to make that official probably by that next fall semester.
I see. So you're just trying to plan before the next school year and all that. And just so I know, you're not working with any other agents or anything like that before that move and all. Is that right?
Well, I mean, we've got an agent that we kind of used in the past, but we haven't really contacted them yet to get started. So still, I'd say we're in the very preliminary stages of this.
Got it, got it. Well, I know a lot of individuals like yourself and if I can make a recommendation, um, it's always good to see like what are values of um, prices around the area and all that, and to see our our marketing plan and what we can do for you. Does you and your wife have any availability sometime next week to meet?
Mm, I mean, I'd have to kind of talk to her about it. I know she's a little apprehensive with the whole move, but yeah, I mean, I would say we're usually home around the evenings. I mean, did you want to meet in person or Zoom, or what did you want to do?
Yeah. Uh, what's your preferred method and all? I always like face to face, but it's just always making sure what's comfortable for you and your family, of course, Ryan. And what's your wife's name, by the way?
Joy.
Joy. Okay. Is Joy on the line as well by any chance? I'm happy to.
No, not at the moment. I need to
Uh,
confer with her on next steps and what everything looks like. But I would say we're usually home in late, early evenings during the week. So you tell me a day, and I'll let you know if that works for us.
Perfect. So I see in my calendar around Tuesday around like 4 or 5 p.m. Is that right? Is that what's better for you, Ryan?
Tuesday. Tuesdays are usually open. Why don't you just kind of send me a quick text confirmation, and then I'll check with her to make sure that time works. And yeah, that should work. About how long do you think is the meeting?
Uh, it's anywhere between, 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It's just a quick introduction, who I am, the services, and really ultimately what are you guys looking for, and when is the right time for you guys? So
Cool.
that's it.
Yeah,
So
that sounds cool. That'll
okay,
work.
perfect. So Tuesday, around 5 p.m. I'll send a quick text in the morning, and I'm looking forward to meeting you and Joy.
Sounds good. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, I'll give you a little quick feedback. I did have one question. In terms of the source, I mean, you say hot buyer. Is this a straight cold call, or am I an
Straight cold
expired
call.
or FISBA?
Straight cold call.
Straight cold call. Okay, got it. And Adam, are you working off any kind of script?
Uh, the beginning was the hot market, and then um, then it kind of just fell off. Because once I get like, I haven't got too many yeses, honestly. It's been more no's. Again, it's more
Mhm.
approach. So once that they said a yes, I kind of fell off.
Yeah. So, and I'll just give you really kind of what I do with these hot buyer calls. I mean, it's just listed, just sold, or it's a hot buyer. We have buyers looking in your area. And the
Yeah.
question I guess we start with, and I know a few people on this call do the same thing, is when do you plan on moving?
Hmm.
Right. That's the first question. And then you're asking them more questions about how long you've been in the area. If you were to move, where would you go to next? That's the script. The script is about 4, 5, 6 questions. So it's a
Hmm.
Mike Ferry just listed, just sold. And if you want to start the headline off with, we've got multiple buyers looking in your area, calling around, asking the neighbors, when do you yourself plan on moving?
Hmm.
That's really kind of the opener, I would say. But
Hmm.
then the question is, are you considering a move? And if the answer is yes, which it was, great. Couple other things I just jotted is repeating and approving is something you kind of want to focus on, right? You're upsizing, terrific. And when do you plan on moving? Well, we were thinking next year. Next year, fantastic, right? And then obviously at the very end, you did close me for the appointment, which is good. But I would say repeating and approving and sticking to the script would be make the whole conversation more efficient and powerful. Does that all make sense?
More canned. Got it.
But yeah, just keep on just doing the same script, and it'll just become more natural and more fluid, and just that's where the confidence will come with it. All right.
Appreciate that. Thank you for that. Just looking to get better.
So just keep doing it for sure.
Would anyone be open to providing perhaps an example of how they speak to buyers at open houses now, potentially, even if it's a seller coming into your open house, about the sign-in or just the script around what the new rules are for NAR and the requirements of that?
I don't
I'm
know.
happy to start. I know it's not direct prospecting, but I think in a way it needs to be savvy because a lot of people are looking for direction. A lot of brokerages are coming out with their own forms, but I'd love to just kind of explore it briefly and then get back to some of the, prospecting aspects too. But I think it ties right into kind of what's going on in the market.
I'm happy to take that.
Okay, cool.
I'm Tim.
So
I'm Tim.
you want me to be the agent? You want me to be the buyer? I'd be happy to do both.
Why don't you be the buyer?
Okay, terrific.
Hi, welcome. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Hey, good morning. I'm Chris.
Oh, hi, Chris. Hi, I'm Tim Freund. It's good to meet you. Thanks for joining us here at the open house at 123 Banana Street. Would you take just a second, please, and sign in for me?
Just kind of popping through, hoping just to take a quick peek. I'm pretty much 2 doors down.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't know if you've heard, but there's been a lot of changes in the way real estate is being managed these days in terms of buyer relationships and seller relationships. And so we're required now to have everybody sign in, and just let me know if you're working with an agent. There's a spot there for you to go ahead and put their name. That way I know and we're clear.
Okay. Are you going to end up contacting me? Because I'm not trying to sign up for any list. I just literally, being 2 doors down, wanted to take my head in, get a sense of what it looked like.
That's fine. Just give me your name, and if you either put a phone number and email, that's it. I'm not going to contact you. I mean, if you're interested in the property, obviously we have something to talk about. But if it's not something that you're interested in, then you'll come in, you'll look at the property, and you'll be on your way.
Okay. So I'm not working with an agent, but I have to sign in.
You do, yeah. I'm afraid so. It's new rules. It's kind of crazy, but it's just kind of where we're at. I'm curious, are you planning on making a move sometime in the next 30 to 60, 90 days? What's your interest in this property specifically?
No, we love it. I mean, we can kind of see the backyard from ours, right? But we're happy here, and we're just always curious about the layout of this home because it's kind of same year and everything and bars.
Mm-hmm. And do you own your home now?
Actually, yeah. We bought about 2 years ago, and we love it. It's been awesome.
Okay. So just so I understand what you're saying, you're saying that you basically are most interested in just kind of seeing what kind of amenities my seller has and what they've done, maybe what we've done to help them get ready to sell. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
No, not so much. I mean, we were just curious, like what it looked like inside, because outside obviously we could see, but we'd never been in this home, so that's that.
Okay, well, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, let's come on in, take a look. Just go ahead and sign in. As I said, it is a requirement, so you have to do it. But don't worry, I'm not going to contact you if you don't want to be contacted. I'm a pretty low key guy. So if you're interested in interviewing agents for selling your home, or if you're interested in interviewing agents for buying your home, I'm obviously very interested in applying for the job. So, okay. Yeah, but go ahead, just sign in and take a look through. And then after you get finished, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Fantastic. All right, cool.
Love that. Good job, Tim. The only thing that that came up for me as I hear you guys doing this is that humor always breaks tension. So one of the things I might say, Tim, is like, yeah, with all these rule changes, I don't know if you're aware, if you've seen them, that have happened in the real estate industry right now. If my grandma was to show up at this open house and want to take a look, she'd have to sign in. You know what I mean? Like, you just break the tension. People are like, ha, really? Yeah, that's exactly the way it is. So, if you just go ahead and sign in there, and, I'm not going to like harass you or anything like that if that's what you're concerned about. Obviously, I liked what you said. It's like, obviously, if you have interest in the property, then we have something to talk about. But otherwise, it's just a requirement that we have to do. So let's just go ahead and take care of that, and then we can show you the home. How's that sound? And they're like, great. So a little bit of humor goes like a long way when there's like potential conflict. You know what I'm saying? Like it diffuses that and makes it playful.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Thanks. I had an open house last weekend, and that was what I had no problem getting people to sign in. Even the neighbors, signed in, and it was just like, yep, please sign in. And they did. And that was it. So pretty easy peasy.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Aaron. That was awesome.
Sure. Hey, Aaron, you want to work on, I already have an agent.
Let's do it, bro. Hey, I love your hair right now. It's fantastic, dude. You're the man.
My hairdresser comes back in like 4 days, and I misunderstood her. So I'm a month behind. I
love it, bro. You should leave it.
Oh, no, I can't hear. I guess I hear better in my car.
Yeah, whoever can hear better on their car, put yourself on mute. Thank you. Yay.
Okay, so how about you? So I'm cold calling you, and I'm trying to get an appointment with you, and you tell me you already have an agent.
All right. So yeah, Tim, I appreciate you reaching out, brother. I already have an agent. So thanks for the call.
I appreciate that, Aaron. I'm glad to hear that you're serious about selling, and that you've already made moves to secure your agent. May I ask, have you already signed papers with them?
I have not. Time out. Hey, time out real quick. Just something that I heard when you asked that. Do you hear what happened to your voice?
Oh, did it go up?
Oh, it went up, my friend.
Sure that did. Bastard voice.
Mm-hmm. That it deceived me. Damn it!
Gave away
away how I was feeling internally.
So I'm glad to hear that you're getting ready to sell. May I ask you if you already signed papers with an agent?
Good. Better. No, we haven't actually authorized anything yet.
Okay, cool. So I'm just curious, the agent, have you worked with them in the past?
Yeah, we've had a working relationship, like they helped us to buy the home, however long ago that was, like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I'm just curious now, this is obviously a business decision, right? Selling your home?
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Yeah. So in terms of selecting an agent, the selecting process, were you just going to go with, the old agent because you know them, or were you planning on interviewing more than one agent to see if you might get a different perspective?
No, I mean, I don't really feel like I need to interview more than one because we have a working relationship,
Uh-huh. So if it's a business decision, Aaron, I mean, don't you think it might behoove you to interview somebody who's one of the top agents in the area?
Behoove.
Proven track record?
Behoove. Hey, remember that the 27% of the population has a college degree. They've done studies that the people who get elected presidents, they speak at a 6th grade level or less. So when I start using language like behoove, Jordan's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, what's behoove?
Okay. Don't you think it would be a good
It would
idea?
make sense.
Don't you think it would make sense to get some second opinions on
All right, good. So here's
the value of your home?
This is good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're doing this. Yay. All right. So obviously watch tonality. And remember that you have to put this in surviving or thriving. Otherwise, people stop paying attention.
Okay.
Think to yourself, like when you're at a dinner party and somebody says like, hey, what do you do? And they're like, well, it's kind of complicated. Do you know what happens in your head? This is not going to help me survive. It's not going to help me thrive. And I'm going to stop fucking paying attention, Vivian. Yep, that's exactly what I'm going to stop doing. So I need to put this into how this will help them to survive or thrive to have a conversation, right? So what would be language that I could use to put this in surviving or thriving? Well, what helps people to survive?
Well, food, money.
Ah, okay. Money. Good.
Yeah.
And what helps them to thrive?
More money.
Ah, interesting. Usually those two things are correlated, right? Now, there's other things that help you do that, Jessica, but those are two things that, they make sense. So how do I put that into language? Well, I appreciate that, the fact that you have somebody in your life that you have an experience with and, feel comfortable with. What I find that sellers like you, prior to putting their home on the market, they usually get a second opinion with regards to price, commission, and marketing, just to make sure they're making the best choice for them and their family. Do you think that would be helpful or useful for you in this move? And then be quiet, because what am I introducing there? Price, which is what?
Money, more money.
Commission is what?
Less money, more money.
You see what I'm saying? So now, I have Consuelo. I've been on calls with people. They're like, yeah, my cousin's an agent. I'm like, well, I appreciate that. I know that this is a business decision, and it's really about who can help you net the most and do it quickly and efficiently. And as such, we find that sellers like yourself, they usually get more than one opinion with regards to price, commission, and marketing, just to make sure they're making the best choice for them and their family. Do you think that would be helpful or useful for you in this particular instance? And I've watched people tell me, Vivian, oh, well, my cousin hasn't been an agent that long. Oh, right. Me and my cousin aren't that close.
So cut to the chase and get the price.
Yeah, get to it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Commission and marketing. Right.
Yeah, because the fact that they already told you, like, going the road of trying to attack the agent, think about if you've ever been around people and they like talk about somebody not in the best light. It's never a good look, ever.
Right. Was I shitting on the agent? Is that what you got?
Nah, not like fully, but like you're kind of like questioning them. And when that happens, they're going to defend their friend, bro. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So instead of don't make it about the friend. And I would even say language like this. You know what, Tim? I really appreciate you sharing that. And I want to be clear. This conversation is not about me. It's also not about the other agent. It's really about you and your family and your guys' desire to make this move happen to Texas and to net the most. And as such, what we find is prior to entering into a long-term contract that could cost lots of time and money, sellers like yourself, they usually get more than one opinion with regards to price, commission, and marketing. I'm curious, do you think that would be helpful or useful to you in some way? So notice what I did. Am I shitting on the agent? No. Because the moment I start to paint that agent in any kind of, if that's their buddy or friend, Vivian's going to fight me. She's going to get mad at me and be like, how dare you talk about Jonathan? He's such a nice man, right?
Yeah, I like the long-term contract that could cost time and money. That was good.
And again, what am I talking about? Surviving and thriving.
Right.
So otherwise, Tim, you stop listening to me immediately, because this is the way our brains are wired. We're wired to survive and to thrive. Biology is competitive, selective, and it has to breed. Our brains are wired that way, and they're wired to conserve calories because we're getting so bombarded with so much information all the time. Our brain is constantly, without us even realizing it, sifting out about what's necessary and what's not necessary. Do you know what the primary mechanism it uses to determine that? Will this help me to survive or thrive? If the answer is no, or it's confusing, or I can't tell quickly, guess what happens? You stop paying attention.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Now, Tim, on a buyer side, what would help them survive or thrive on the buyer side?
Well, let's say, so you're interested in moving to the area. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, but it's basically the same thing as a seller, but backwards. So I'll give you this.
I was just setting the table.
Like,
Sorry.
I'll tell you this. I used to have a hard time talking money at the very beginning. And once I started switching that, like, to buyers, like, what if I can help you save money on your next property? I was talking their language. With sellers, I was like, what if I could help you make more money on your property? Then I started talking their language as well, too.
I see.
Basically.
Interesting.
So it's just backward. So even if I'm like at an open house, hey, what if I can help you find a good deal on your next property? What if I can help you find an off-market opportunity? What if I can get your next offer accepted, even if there was competitive offers at not the highest offer price? You see how all of those are basically, all of those are basically
surviving or thriving is what
surviving or thriving. The other thing that I was going to say in terms of feedback for you, the very first question when he said, do you already have an agent? Or when he said, I already have an agent, the very first question you ask is, have you signed paperwork with that agent? I don't like that as a first question. That doesn't mean that you can't ask it. And here's the reason why. Do you think that there's ever going to be somebody who has not signed a document but wants to get you off the phone and is just going to say, yes, I've signed something?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
what do you say instead?
Well, I just say, hey, look, I'm not sure if you're open to this. What a lot of sellers do before signing something with an agent is they typically take the time to interview a couple of different agents about price, commission, and marketing. Is that something that you're open to? Like, in my opinion, if they sign something, they're going to let you know. So, like, at that point, if you say, hey, look, getting a second opinion, they're going to be like, oh, no, I already signed with a different agent. So that's them letting me know. And then as I get down, like, if I'm like, man, I can't get an appointment with this guy, like, hey, have you signed something with an agent? Yes, I've already signed. Oh, that makes sense why obviously you're not open to getting a second opinion. My most sincere apology. I apologize about that.
Yeah, I said,
have a great day.
I really wish you the best of luck. What I'm aware of is, unfortunately, to really no fault of your own or mine, that about 80% of everybody who goes on the market in the multiple listing service, they actually don't sell and they come off as an expired listing. So what I'd like to do, with your permission, if it's okay, is just send you a quick email with my contact information, track record, what we do to help a lot of families. Hopefully you won't need it and you'll be sold, but at least this way you'll have it on file. So if anything changes, Jordan, you can give me a call. How does that sound? And they're like, that's fantastic. And then you send it and you MTFO, you move on. Okay.
Yeah. I think that question at the very beginning, it's going to cause a lot of like and think about this. If you ask them like, hey, have you already signed something with an agent? And they say yes, but they really have not signed something with an agent, you can't take it anywhere from there. It's done. It's a dead deal.
Right.
At that point. So it's almost like, and at that point, you haven't qualified the lead enough to know if they're BSing you or if they're not BSing you.
Yeah. And then somebody said in the comments, Matt was like, what if I can help you save more money? The thing that I would advise against is, notice who is the reference there? I. Right? So look at the difference between, like, yeah, I appreciate that. And, I know that ultimately this conversation is not about me. It's not about the other agent. It's really, Gary, about you and your family and your desire to move and net the most. Who am I referencing? You. You ever been in a conversation with somebody who talks about themselves all the time? How does that usually go, Consuelo? How quickly do you tune them out and be like, this guy is a douchebag?
Talk too much. I don't want to hear them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, what are we doing? But if somebody makes you the focus, what happens? You sit up straight. Oh, really? Oh, you want to know about me? Yay! I'll talk to you for hours. You understand? So I would be very cautious and careful about that. Like, what if are you familiar with the techniques that I use to sell homes? What if I could help you? I don't know if you know this, but I am the top agent in your market. Bro. You're just going to push people away doing that. So there's another way that you can do it, like approach matters. And if you notice in the approach that I'm sharing with you, I'm not the reference, they are. And even when I say to them, like, hey, we do find that sellers, prior to getting caught up in a multi-month contract that could cost time and money, that they usually get a second opinion with regards to price, commission, and marketing. Do you think that that would be helpful or useful for you and your family? Have I talked about myself once?
Now, the only adjustment I would say to that, instead of getting a second opinion, I would say getting more than one opinion, because you'll run into people. They're like, I've already got a second opinion. And then at that point, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Basically, at that point, it's like, okay, where do I take it from here? Basically, I just said they get a second opinion. It's like, hey, getting more than one opinion. And then if they say, well, I've already gone 3, then you can say, well, look, in today's marketplace, everybody knows that all sellers interview a minimum of 4 to 5 agents. I wouldn't mind being your 4th or your 5th agent. What's a good day for us to get together?
Exactly. And the key component there is, again, I just want you guys to be clear, is that if we're not careful, our tendency is to be selfish and to think about ourselves. And it comes out in our language. Life and death is in the tongue. So you'll hear lots of I's. I, me, I, I'm the best. I, me, right? So you can tell them that you can help them to net more money without using the I frame, which is the way that I'm suggesting that you do it, right? So we usually find that sellers, prior to getting caught up in a multi-month contract that could cost a lot of time and money, they get more than one opinion with regards to price, commission, and marketing to ensure that they're making the best decision for them and their family, and they don't get caught up in a multi-month contract that could cost time and money. Do you think that could be helpful or useful for you and your family? Notice, they're the reference point, not me.
The other thing that I want to encourage you, Tim, like my production started to change when I internalized 2 objection handlers. One of them was I need to think about it, and the other one was I already have another agent. So think about, for everybody on this call, how many times a week you guys get this objection. Think about it, how many times in a month you guys get this objection. So what I started doing is I just started role playing this one objection that I've already got another agent over and over and over and over again. And even with one of my agents, that was the one thing that we worked on for a while, because we knew that if you internalize that objection handler, even if you go from 0 to 10 people that give it to you, even if you go from 0 to 2, that's 2 extra contracts. Even if you go from 1 out of 10. So like, even if you improve by 1, that's an extra contract. So that one KPI or that one key metric can basically help you. If you convert an extra 2 out of 10, it'll help you get 2 extra deals, So I would say that this is one of the most important objections that you can work on, that I've already got another agent.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to work on it. I've been working on it, but it's always, it's like you say, it's one of the 2 big objections that you're going to run into every time.
Yeah. If you want, I'll role play with you as well too. And I'm open to feedback as well.
Okay.
I'll be the listing agent.
Okay. Hey, Jose, thanks so much for reaching out. But you know what? We've already got an agent.
Yeah. Completely understand. Obviously, never want to step on anybody's toes. Tim, I'm not sure if you're open to this. Here's what most sellers do before putting their property on the market. Most sellers typically take the time to interview a couple different agents to get a couple different opinions about price, commission, and then also marketing. Is that something that you're open to at all?
Jose, I appreciate it, but I've got a really nice house, and the agent that I've got, he's a top producer. He sells a lot of homes in the area, and my house, I think my home's going to sell itself. Honestly, I think it's really tricked out, and I think we're probably just going to get multiple offers.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Obviously, I'm looking here at the previous pictures. Your home is phenomenal. Love the crown molding. Love the baseboard. Love the backyard. I love how you've got that water fountain in the back.
Well, we put a pool in since those pictures, man. It looks way tricked out, this house.
Oh, it looks even better than that. Even better.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the only reason I was asking about getting a second opinion is a lot of the properties that we list for sale, we actually sell them above the asking price. We just had a property that we put on the market at 700,000 and we ended up getting 38 offers 2 weeks ago. And the property ended up selling at $850,000. Our highest negotiation in our career is $290,000 above the asking price. And second highest is 220 with several in the 100,000, 50,000, 40,000. Let me ask you this. If there was a marketing approach that you could put a little bit of extra money in your pocket, maybe an extra 10, maybe an extra 15, maybe an extra $20,000 in your pocket, is that something that you'd be open to?
Well, I mean, are you just talking about? Sounds like you're just pricing it really low, and then it's just a whole bunch of a whole bunch of offers.
Yeah, it's a really good concern. What if I told you that the one that we just sold at 850, that was actually a record for the neighborhood, meaning nothing has sold above the $850,000 price in that neighborhood?
Well, that's obviously pretty impressive. But of course, my house at $1.4 million, it's a whole different kettle of fish. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I obviously agree to that. So here's the good news for you, Tim. The good news for you is I'm not asking for any sort of commitment from you. I'm not asking for you to sign anything with me. I'm not even asking for you to commit to working with me, especially not over the phone. All I am asking for is just an opportunity to sit down with you, explain to you what we can do to put more money in your pocket. If it makes sense, we can work together. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. At least you've interviewed one of the top agents in town. So let me ask you this. If we were to get together sometime this week, is there typically a day of the week that would normally work out better
for you? Honey, do you want to get together with this realtor? Yeah, we could probably do Thursday.
Okay. And if we were to get together on Thursday, would 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock be better for you?
I think probably 3.
Okay. So I'm putting it down.
Happy hour.
Well, maybe after we start working together, we can go to happy hour together.
All right.
I just did. All right. So I've got you down for 3 o'clock this Thursday. That's Thursday the 15th or whatever it is. Now, before we get together, Tim, I just have a couple of really quick questions for you. I'm going to be doing a little bit of homework prior to our appointment. I just want to make sure that I'm fully prepared and I can really be of best service to you. Is it okay if I ask them now?
Sure. Like
okay,
what?
Perfect. Okay, great. All right. So I'll kind of break it down what I did. So whenever you're role playing, I obviously hope that I get the yes on the first try, meaning I'm like, hey, look, it always makes sense to get more than one opinion. Most sellers are getting an opinion about price, commission, or marketing. Most people only practice that layer, meaning that if they say no, you start fumbling. You don't have a go-to thing that you're almost not expecting for them to say no, but you don't have a second layer of that objection handler. So I always start off with hey, look, more than one opinion, price, commission, marketing. If they say yes, great. I go for the appointment. If they say no, then I go into what I call a carrot dangler, basically. In that carrot dangler, I am offering them a marketing plan to help them put more money in your pocket. And I'm giving them an example of a property that I had success with. Now, normally, you know how you said my property is 1.4? I would not give an example of 700,000. If their property is 1.4, I would give an example in their price range, because if not, you're creating that objection for yourself. Right. And I've got examples in that, the one that I sold 290,000, that was a $1.6 million property. I've got an example of that property. It sold for $1,890,000 or something like that. But so I would give an example in their price range. But the way, and this is the way I've explained it to Aaron, and Aaron laughs when I tell him this. Have you guys ever seen those gold digger videos on YouTube where a guy goes up to a girl and then the guy goes, hey, I'd like to take you on a date. The girl says no. All of a sudden the guy shows up in the Ferrari, and all of a sudden the girl's like, oh man, or the girl's like, I have a boyfriend. The guy shows up in the Ferrari, and then he's like, no. He's like, no. When he shows up in the Ferrari, all of a sudden the girl's like, oh, well, I guess it's not that serious. A very similar effect will happen with this. Whenever you say, hey, look, I just sold the property 50,000 above the asking price. If there was a way where I can put more money in your pocket, is that something that you'd be open to? Or if there's a way where I can help you get an extra 10, 20, 30,000, you're going to see how committed people actually are to the current agent that they have. Because now you're offering them an opportunity to potentially put more money in their pocket. And what you're going to hear a lot of the times is you're going to hear things like, well, I would be open to it. Or, well, that's an extra $10,000. I could do a lot with that money. Or, you know what? Like, to be honest, I didn't really want to work with my friend. Or to be honest, it makes sense to get a second opinion now. All of a sudden, somebody who was like, no, I'm not open to getting a second opinion, you've dangled the carrot. Then the third layer, if they're like, no, 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 the third layer is like, look, I'm not asking for any sort of commitment from you. I'm not asking for you to sign anything. I'm not asking for you to especially commit over the phone. All I'm asking for is an opportunity to interview. At the end of our meeting, you can decide, okay, is this something that I want to move forward with? Or do I want to continue with the same approach? But at least this way, you've interviewed one of the top agents in town, and you can be certain that from a business perspective, you're headed in the right direction. That, in my opinion, clarifies what you're really asking for. A lot of people think that you're asking for a listing. You're definitely not asking for a listing over the phone. All you guys are really asking is just an opportunity to get in front of them. That's it. And that helps take some of the pressure off, because a lot of times they think that by meeting with you, they're obligated to work with you. That's certainly not the case. You're not asking for that. All you're asking for is just an opportunity to interview. And those are like 3 layers for that one objection handler that you have right there, or for that specific objection handler. Now,
when you burn through that third one, do you have a fourth sitting in your hip pocket?
Yeah, it kind of just
so analytical, Tim.
No, but it's kind of just
You
like
go
a
through 10.
recycle.
Do you have an 11th one just in case?
I'm just looking for the nugget of like, I'm just digging.
Well, I'll tell you this. Sometimes I'll recycle the same one. I'll be like, well, look, Tim, as I just mentioned to you, I'm not asking for any sort of commitment to you. I'm not asking for any sort of contract from you. I'm not even asking. Like, it's just the same thing, just being recycled.
Yeah, or I might ask, like, I guess I'm curious. Do you really feel as though there would be any disadvantage to, getting some additional information? Or whenever you start to feel like you're being a little too pushy, I would just let them know, like, hey, I just want you to know my intention isn't to be pushy at the moment. My intention instead is just to demonstrate to you that I'm 100% committed to you accomplishing your goals and objectives. Again, I want to be clear. This conversation is not about me. It's not about the other agent. It's really about you and your family and your desire to move and to get top dollar quickly and efficiently. And, with no obligation whatsoever, do you feel like there'd be any disadvantage to getting an additional, some more information from one of the top agents in your geographic area and your price point? And then,
okay, cool. Thanks.
And then on the buyer side, bro, it's the same thing, just flipped around. On the buyer side, hey, I'm not sure if you're open to this. Here's what most buyers typically do. Most buyers typically take the time to interview a couple different agents to get a couple different opinions to see who can help them save the most money and get the best property at the best price.
Yeah,
same exact thing.
Weird. Like, what he's doing is very intentional. When he says, I'm not sure if you're open to this, what does that cause you?
Yeah, questioning whether or not you're open to it.
Yeah, it makes you be like, I don't know, am I open to it? Whereas the other part is when you're trying to push for an appointment, people close down. This instead is open. Like, look, I'm not sure if you're open to this. This may be out of left field. Like, I don't know if you're open to this at all. We do find that prior to entering into an agreement that could cost time and money, that homeowners like yourself usually get more than one opinion, they usually get more information, from agents and perhaps sit down with multiple agents, specifically around price, commission, and marketing. I'm curious, do you think that would be helpful or useful for you in this instance to ensure that you and your family make the best decision and then be quiet?
Well, with buyers, we wouldn't necessarily say marketing, right? You might say price, commissions, and maybe, availability of off-market listings and
whatever your value
foreclosures or whatever. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
a key thing there is like, hey, I'm not sure if you're open to this, right? What I would do, Tim, with role play partners is when people if you notice too, when you threw that at Jose, it was his tonality. Like, he's just very nonchalant. Like, yeah, that's cool. I get it. You know, everybody and their grandma has a real estate license, right? Like, he's just like, whatever. Like, it just rolls off his back. There's no like internal tensing or freezing or like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Just like, yeah, I understand. Right. Yeah. So that, and then also I would practice in those closing sequences, because that's really what he's doing. When he says, so when I say like, may I make a suggestion? What am I really asking for? Permission to close. When he says, I'm not sure if you're open to this, what is he really doing? Closing. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I would practice that, like after you've gone through that first sequence, which is like, you know, this conversation is not about me. It's not about other agents. It's really about you and your family, ultimately accomplishing what you want and netting top dollar and doing it quickly and efficiently. And we usually find in the marketplace that homeowners like yourself, particularly in your price point, will gather as much information as possible and meet with multiple agents prior to making the decision of who they're going to select and enter into an agreement. And what they focus on, Tim, is price, commission, and marketing. I'm curious, do you think that would be helpful or useful to you in some way? And they'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, depending on how that goes. And then once they say that, ask permission to close. So with that being said, I don't know if you'd be open to this, Tim. You see what I'm doing there? Or if I say, with that being said, may I make a suggestion? Now, when you say, may I make a suggestion, do you know what you have to have the discipline to do? Shut up. Because when it's quiet, you know what happens, Jordan? You want to fill the air with nonsense because it's uncomfortable. So you have to have the discipline to shut up. And then they'll say things like, well, you can make a suggestion, Tim, but I don't know if I'll do it. Or go ahead. Or I'm listening. Right? And then when they do that, you're like, well, based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, I'm hearing a couple things very clearly. The first one is yes, in fact, you're definitely going to sell the property. It's not a question of if. It's really not even a question of when. It's really just about like ultimately who you're going to hire to help. The second thing I'm hearing from you is that the more information you can gather right now with regards to price, commission, and marketing, the better equipped you'll be so you and your family can make the decision that you feel is best. So I really wouldn't mind. I'm in your area all the time anyway. I'd love to have the opportunity simply just to pop by. When I say pop by, how quick does that sound? Fast. Pop by, take a look, see what it has to offer. And while I'm there, I'll show you those three things very clearly. Number one, what would be top dollar, the most amount we could expect to receive with the aggressive marketing program we have in place that helps X amount of families per month, just like you, accomplish their goals and objectives. I'll also show you net bottom line with that program in place, what that would mean for you and your family. We can have a conversation about professional fees. So then at least this way, Tim, whatever you decide to do, whether it's me or another agent, you'll have everything you need so you and your family can decide what you feel is best in terms of how to proceed. Does that sound fair to you? Yes. Now notice, who is that all about? Tim. Do you, oh, Jordan, look, light bulbs are going off, Jordan. Yeah. Oh my God. I've been presenting selfishly the whole time, just about me, myself, and I, and how cool I am, and how lovable I am, and how cool of an agent I am. Guys, just as a reminder, you had to get a 75 on a test, have $1,000, and not be a felon. That was the criteria to become an agent. Okay. So I don't know why you talk to yourself so much. I don't know why you try to, actually, I do know why, because it's insecurity.
You know, Aaron, what the difference between a California real estate license and a California driver's license is?
What's that?
Not everyone in California has a driver's license.
Let's go, bro. That's what I'm talking about. That's true. So this objection, and again, so me and Jose are giving you like the technical, okay, say this. What I'm really infusing here is procedurally underneath why you're saying this and this. And you have to know both, guys. Because otherwise you're just a robot that spits out words. You're not understanding the process underneath. Does that make sense?
I think the other thing too is you have to understand that a good percentage of the agents don't sell a single home in a year, and the average agent only sells 3 to 4 homes a year. So the chances of you having somebody that's better to offer them are higher. And you have to, like, at some point start believing that you're actually the best fit for them. And that by you basically presenting this to them, you're basically helping them receive a better outcome, and that you're actually going to take care of them and do a better job for them than they normally would as well too. Because if you're just regurgitating the words, it's not gonna work, you know?
Right.
Should be that 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then here's the thing on the buyer side, Tim, just, hey, look, I'm not sure if you're open to this. What most buyers are doing before they typically take the time to interview a couple different agents to get different opinions and to see who can get them the best property at the best price. Is that something that you're
Zach,
open to?
mute yourself.
Is that something that you're open to? And they're like, no, I'm not. Then you come up with an example, like a carrot dangler. You see, it's the same process. Come up with an example. Well, look, the only reason I'm asking is we were able to just negotiate a buyer's offer. It was listed at $800,000. We got it negotiated at $750,000. That's $50,000 less. Not only that, but in the request for repairs, we got them an additional $15,000 in that request for repairs. Let me ask you this. If I can do something similar for you, where I'm helping put more money in your pocket, or I'm helping you save money on the purchase of your next home, is that something that you're open to? No, I'm not. Here's the good news for you. I'm not asking for any sort of commitment. I'm not asking for you to sign any sort of agreement with me right now. All I'm asking is just for an opportunity to interview. You see how it's the same pattern? You're just flipping it?
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Yeah. So if you're, I mean, when would you see that conversation? Is that, I mean, you're talking about an open house? Are you talking about in the elevator? Are you talking about, you know, when you're doing a buyer presentation, sitting down at the office and going through a buyer presentation? I mean, when do you see that type of conversation taking place?
These are like understanding this context, you know what I mean? And like this conversation, the main environment for that conversation is like when I'm presenting, you know what I'm saying? Like I need to be clear on my value stack and the reasons why like somebody would hire me, sort of thing. But that informs the other conversations. So when you're sitting with somebody at the coffee shop and they're like, I already have an agent that's going to help me buy. And you're like, yeah, I get that. The only difference between a California real estate license, you do your whole little spiel and they fucking laugh and they're like, ha ha ha. And then you're like, yeah, the reason why I'm asking, and I don't know if you would be open to this, what we're finding now with these rule changes, because buyers are having to enter into long-term agreements to work with their agent, that they're usually gathering information and actually interviewing agents for the job around their ability to get offers accepted, around their ability to negotiate below the asking price and get concessions. So prior to entering into a multi-month contract, I mean, do you think it would be helpful or useful to gather some more information in the selection of an agent? And then you know what you do? Shut up. Then he's going to be like, wow, I never really thought about that. Yeah, and just by you saying that really demonstrates that we should get together and discuss the options. May I make a suggestion? I don't know if you're open to this. Are you guys, do you see the pattern? Do you see what's happening?
Or he's going to say, no, I'm not. And then you have the second layer of that objection handler. Gosh, the only reason I'm asking for to see if you're open to a second opinion is we've been able to get our buyers some really good opportunities. Like recently, we were able to negotiate a property $50K below the asking price. Not only that, but in the request for repairs, we got them an additional 10. That's $60,000 discount on a $700,000 home. That's almost 10%. Let me ask you
know what I just thought of, Jose? As a closing sequence, I just learned this, and I'm going to start doing it in like everything I'm doing and on attraction calls. It's like, hey, so if you could get a lower price on a property or concessions, which would be more important to you, or would it be both? And they'd be like, well, it'd be both. Well, just by you saying that demonstrates that we should get together and discuss the options. May I make a suggestion? Or I don't know if you're open to this. And then I go into a closing sequence. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
So the point is, guys, is do you see how once you understand the process, we can apply it to either or? So the trap is, Jordan, is when I get so locked into worrying about like the words, which again, it's the barrier to be able to play. Every game has a language. How many people watch the NFL this week? Okay. It has a language. If you don't understand what a muffed punt means, you can't play the game. If you don't understand what offsides means, you can't play the game. If you don't understand what pass interference means, you can't play the game. Do you understand? If you don't understand what offsides in soccer, you can't play the game. If you don't know the difference between a red card, like every game has a language. I have to learn the language, but I need everybody on this call to understand that's just elementary. Like you're here thinking like, oh, that's the main event. No, that is the barrier to entry to actually making money in this business. Just so you know. I left an office that had 130 agents. 9 made more than $100,000 a year. That's it. Yep. Even though you all have your little pictures of your keys with closings. Yay. 9 out of 130. And that's what it is across the country, team. I know that to be true. The same way I know the sky is blue and the grass is green, because I talk to broker owners every day. So I need you guys to understand the component of knowing what to say. It's just the entry to playing the game at a high level. What we're talking about here is procedurally understanding what's happening underneath. That is advanced. That's like a master's degree. But guess what? Can I focus on that process if I haven't figured out what to say? No. So I stay stuck there, Consuelo. Do you know why I stay stuck there? Because I'm not willing to take the time to learn what to say. You hear agents, Gary, like, well, I got to get back to role playing. I got to put on my schedule. Bro, you got to get sick and tired of that shit. I want you the next time you say some shit like that, like pretend throw up in front of them. Because that's what they feel like when they hear you say it. That's what I feel like when I hear agents say that to me. Like, bro, do you realize the opportunity that we have? Jose will make like $2 million this year. What else could he be doing with his level of education that he can make that much money? I know exactly nothing. Zero. Like, why am I approaching this with such willy-nilly? Like, I'll get to it, maybe, provided, eventually, fucking. The average human gets 27,550 days on the planet. That's 75 years in the industrialized world. Women on average get 78. I'm 43. I'll be 44 this year. I've used more than half, Consuelo. Whatever's left, you're going to sleep through a third of it. So whatever you want to accomplish, bro, get after it. Fucking do it. Stop like watching people and do it. Doing is better than watching. As soon as we hang up this call somebody, and when they say to you, I have another agent, fucking say something. Do exactly what we just did. Do you see what I'm saying? Role play with somebody twice a day, 6 days a week. Write out your listing presentation. Chant it. Videotape yourself on presentations. Like, if I was to follow you around, would I be like, hey, you know what? Consuelo is a serious student. She's actually trying to learn this shit. Or would I say she's doing it half-ass? Yup. Interesting question, isn't it? Here, I'm going to think about this. Am I praying for an A+ life with C+ habits? Am I literally, with my hands like this, praying for more without being willing to become more? Don't do that, bro. It's immature. Notice the energy in the room just got weird.
Well, what it makes me think about is when I told you, hey, Aaron, I want to make $1 million a year. And I was focused on making the $1 million a year. And you're like, okay, who do you have to become to make the $1 million a year? And this is like freaking back in like 2014, 13, You're like, what time would that person that makes $1 million a year wake up? What would their morning routine look like? How many times would they practice a day? Who would they practice with? How many times would they chant a day? And then I'm like, well, they would do this, this, and this. And then I focused on developing those habits to do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden, my income caught up to that.
Like magic.
I had already become that person in my head. Then all of a sudden, my habits started doing it. And all of a sudden, my income catches up. And I'm like, oh, damn. What we want sometimes is for our income to be there first, and then we'll develop the habits. And then we'll start role playing. And then we'll start doing this and that,
Yeah, so I would look at this and be like, yo, between now and the end of the year, there's 4 months left. Like, what skill can you develop in the next 4 months that if you dialed in completely, you role played it twice a day, 6 days a week, you chanted it, you hand wrote it out, you videotaped yourself, could you get really, really good at? Do you need work on the prequal? Do you need work on this particular objection? I remember when I was teaching Jose how to get price reductions, that's all we role played for like 90 days straight. That's it. And all the objections that come with it. Can't we do an open house? Can we wait? Can you put it in the Wall Street Journal? My sister's uncle's brother's cousin says that the marketplace is going to come back after the election. Like, all of the objections over and over. That's all we did for 90 days. So figure out, like, what's the skill that you need to get better at, and make a commitment between now and the end of the year to actually get better at it. because things don't get better until you get better. And the way that it works is nature doesn't reward need. How many people on this call need a deal? Show of hands. Yeah, it should be everybody's fucking hands. Well, nature doesn't care. You know who gets the deal? The one who deserves it. That's it. The one who gets to eat is the one who deserves it, the one who hunts. So I just need to like be clear on that. I don't get more because I want more. I get more because I become more. When I said that to Jose, I'm like, bro, you have to become that person. And there's no way around it. There's no shortcut. There's no fucking secret on YouTube that's going to fix it. Doing cold plunges isn't going to make it happen. Running fucking marathons isn't going to make it happen. Your little workout videos isn't going to make it happen.
And then too, it was interesting because I literally just modeled what you did and then just kind of emulated. So I remember you would prospect on Saturday morning. So I was like, all right, well, if Aaron's doing this, I'm going to do it.
Well, I remember I asked you, I'm like, yo, what are you doing on Saturdays? And you were like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you prospecting? You were like, no. I'm like, you may want to rethink that. And you were like, why? And I'm like, well, let me ask you, how many people do you think prospect on Saturdays? It's like, not many. And I'm like, let's do the math. If you prospected every Saturday for the 50 days a week, like for 50 weeks out of the year, that's an extra month and a half prospecting. Do you think you'll be ahead of most people? He was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so do it. And then he did. And he still does it, even though he makes all this money. You want to know where he's at? Call him on a Saturday. He's fucking standing with his headset on while everybody else is at the barbecue, hanging out, eating shit.
Yeah, there was even times where like, and obviously this is unpopular for a lot of people, but there was times where it'd be a holiday and Aaron was prospecting. I'd be like, all right, why is he prospecting on a holiday? And I'm like, all right, let me prospect on a holiday, you know?
Yeah, look at Consuelo, deep in thought. I don't like that. No sirree, Bob. Can it just be easy, Aaron? Can somebody do it for me, bro? Nope. It's not how it works, bro. Look, there's a saying that I want you to pound in your head. I got to bounce on another call. There's no shortcuts to success. You know what the great news is? I've stopped looking for them. People spend a whole career and a whole lifetime looking for shortcuts on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, trying to find shortcuts. There are none. The sooner that you can accept that, the easier it will be to do what needs to be done. Let's go be great. Peace. Elite Builders out.